I wanted to take some time and kind of go into the math meeting a little bit more. This is kind of the crowning jewel of my project. It definitely took the most time, was very labor intensive, but it turned out to be so worth it. I learned a ton of things. First of all, I took this poster and I learned how to edit the master slides. So if you come in here, you can actually see that the slides you have an option to add are my master slides. And so I created each of those so that I could put them into my presentation where I needed them to be, and they're already formatted correctly. I then learned how to overlay transparent objects so that it can control what the students can click and what they can't, creating buttons that link within the presentation. So this one prevents them from clicking anywhere I don't want them to. Then the buttons they are supposed to click, you can see that they're linked within the presentation so that they go exactly where I need them to. So if I go ahead and go into presentation mode, during class, I would say, welcome to morning meeting. What would you like to play first? Which game? And so the kids would say, let's play guess my number. And it takes me straight to the guess my number game. They then get to guess by clicking on a number. So they would practice saying numbers. So they would say the 2 and the 5 is 25. So we'll click on 25 and then my number is greater than 25. So if I click back on the green arrow, it takes me back to this home slide, and then I can choose a number greater than 25. Let's say the number 66. Nope, it's still larger. What about 77? Oh, my number is less than 77. And they continue to do this until they guess the number correctly. I'll exit back into the slides and you can see that I'm down here on slide number 8. My number is 71. So if I click in the presentation on 71, let it load for a minute. If I click on 71, it takes me to the final slide. And then here we celebrate, you guessed my number, and it takes me right back to choose another game. So that is guess my number. It practices greater than, less than. It's all good for the students to be able to practice also saying the number names and identifying those. This one for Count With Me, I originally had the students counting just from 1 through 100. This was the most labor intensive part of the whole thing because Google Slides doesn't like you to animate in chunks. I couldn't copy and paste. I was hoping once I had animated 1 through 10, I could just copy that chunk and then paste it down below, but it didn't like it. So I was able to go into PowerPoint and create duplicates there and then import it back into Google Slides. And so that helped a little bit, but you can see this pink box that shows up around the 10. I actually went back in and added another slide a couple of days into the integration project because I noticed that my students were struggling with those transitions on the 10s. They'd get to 18, 19, and then they couldn't remember what came next. And so we started just counting by 10. So this slide you can see as I click, it progresses. The reason I chose to do it on click was so that I could go as slow or as fast as my students needed. Now I'm here on the next slide and we go all the way through 100. So every day we would practice counting. And then here's what it looks like. And I had to animate each of those little boxes. So again, labor intensive, but it turned out to be worth it.